From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aylia Batool. Hillary Clinton urges public hearing in child sex offender Epstein probe. This and more on today's show, so stay tuned. The White House says it cannot guarantee immigration agents will not be present near polling locations during the November midterm election. Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt says she has not heard President Donald Trump discuss any formal plan to deploy Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, outside voting sites. Her comments came after former White House strategist Steve Bannon suggested immigration agents would be around polling places during the elections. Leavitt dismissed the question as hypothetical, but stopped short of giving any assurance to voters. The 2026 midterm elections are scheduled for November 3rd. Voters will decide all 435 seats in the House of Representatives and 33 seats in the Senate. Former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is calling for a public hearing in the congressional investigation into convicted child sex offender and American financier Jeffrey Epstein. She challenged Republicans on the House Oversight Committee to hold open proceedings instead of closed-door depositions. On social media, Clinton said her team had cooperated for 6 months, but accused Republicans of ignoring their testimony. She directly called on committee chairman James Comer to bring the dispute into the open. Clinton said a public hearing with cameras would be the most transparent option. The Clintons have agreed to testify. Hillary Clinton is scheduled for a closed-door deposition on February 26th, followed by former President Bill Clinton a day later. President Donald Trump said it was a shame the former president was being forced to testify. Epstein died in a New York jail in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. Victims say Epstein ran a child sex trafficking network that served the wealthy and political elites. A new poll shows declining support for federal immigration agents and President Donald Trump's immigration policies after the killing of a protester in Minneapolis last month. The Quinnipiac University survey found that 6 in 10 voters do not believe the Trump administration's account of the death of Alex Preddy. The 37-year-old ICU nurse was shot to death by Border Patrol agents last month. Only 1/4 said they trust the official version of the killing. Most voters also called for an independent investigation. Video from the scene shows Preddy holding a cell phone before agents pepper sprayed him and pushed him down. His legally owned gun was taken moments before the shooting. The poll also shows a sharp political divide. 94% of Democrats say the shooting was unjustified, while 55% of Republicans say it was justified. Nearly 60% of voters say the administration's immigration policies are too harsh. More than 9 in 10 support body camera for agents, and 60% want ICE to withdraw from Minnesota. Police detained several protesters at Columbia University in New York during an anti-immigration and customs enforcement, or ICE, rally on Thursday. Students demanded protection from what they say is federal immigration targeting. Officers moved in to clear the road and arrested those involved in the sit-in. Police handcuffed several demonstrators and escorted them away. Organizers say the rally was peaceful and focused on immigrant rights. Authorities say traffic disruption forced their intervention. The number of arrests have not been officially confirmed. Historians and civil rights leaders are condemning the Trump administration's decision to remove references to racism from materials at the Medgar and Marley Evers home National Monument in Mississippi. Mississippi Today reports that the National Park Service has pulled visitor brochures from the monument in Jackson. Officials say the materials will be revised. Reports suggest references to racism may be removed, including descriptions of Evers' killer, who was a white supremacist and member of the Ku Klux Klan. Medgar Evers was a leading civil rights activist who was assassinated in 1963. His killer, Byron de la Beckwith, was later convicted. Civil War historian Kevin Levin said he was speechless over the changes. Another historian questioned the timing, noting the anniversary of Beckwith's conviction, which was on February 5, 1994. Human rights activist Martin Luther King III, son of civil rights icon Martin Luther King Jr., slammed the Trump administration for trying to distort history. President Donald Trump says the federal government will issue new guidance to protect students' rights to pray in public schools. Speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast, Trump called the move a big deal. He said the Department of Education will formally release the new guidance. Analysts say the announcement reflects the administration's focus on religious liberty as part of its education and cultural agenda. Trump said opponents have sued him repeatedly and claimed the administration would win any court fight. Prayer in public schools has long divided American society. Opponents argue that organized prayer violates the Constitution's separation of church and state. They say public schools must remain neutral on religion. Supporters say students should be free to express their faith. They argue the country's traditions include religious expression in public life. The issue has been debated in courts and politics for decades. CAIR vows legal fight after Texas Attorney General targets Muslim civil rights group. Details coming up after the break.
My name is Layla. I was an average kid until Zula Inc. broke into my life because my dad discovered time travel. After that, everything changed.
You're the new girl Layla, right?
Whoa! What if I don't fit in?
Abdullah!
Do I hear my name? Welcome to Vancouver, cuz.
Whoa!
You four have been specially chosen to take our project into the next generation.
You can time travel?
Abdullah! No! Abdullah! Where?
Do you really think I don't know why we had to leave Seattle, Mama?
Now here, keep these close. These should never leave your wrist.
This virtual reality game is crazy. You can even eat. This is reality, buddy. We zoomed through a wormhole.
Oh no, my Go Watch! It's gone!
What does this do?
That's Al-Khwarizmi. You know, the father of mathematics. It's because of him we have algorithms.
I will not stop until your legacy, everyone's legacy, lies in ruins. Of course it was you. You little rascals ruined everything.
Your fate will be great. Just don't give up.
Time Hoppers.
The Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, says it is ready to defend itself against what it says are unjust and politically driven allegations by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Paxton has filed a lawsuit in state court seeking to shut down CAIR's operations in Texas. He has asked a judge to declare the Muslim civil rights advocacy group a foreign terrorist and transnational criminal organization. The move would block CAIR from fundraising, owning property, or recruiting members in the state. The lawsuit also alleges links between CAIR and the Muslim Brotherhood. CAIR strongly denies the claim. The group says it follows all laws and stresses that its mission is to defend civil rights, promote justice, and empower American Muslims. CAIR describes the lawsuit as part of a broader pattern of attacks on Muslim organizations. It says these moves have intensified as groups speak out against Israel's genocide in Gaza. CAIR notes that it has already challenged a similar state designation in federal court and will fight this case as well. At least 31 people were killed and 169 were injured in a suicide bombing during Friday prayers in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, today. Authorities said the attack targeted Imam Barga Khatijatul Kubra, a Shia Muslim prayer hall in the outskirts of the city. The attacker was stopped by security guards at the entrance. Officials say he opened fire and then detonated explosives among worshippers. Dozens of wounded were rushed to nearby hospitals, where emergency protocols were declared. One relative of the Islamabad police chief was among the dead. Senior ministers allege links between the attacker and cross-border networks, saying forensic evidence shows repeated travel to Afghanistan. The government says the investigations are ongoing and a detailed report is expected within 72 hours. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif condemned the attack and pledged to bring those responsible to justice. Security has been tightened across the capital and nearby cities. Palestinian authorities in Gaza are working to identify dozens of Palestinian bodies released by Israel as part of the ceasefire deal. Officials say efforts continued in Gaza City to identify 54 bodies transferred from Israeli custody. The Gaza Health Ministry says the remains arrived at Al-Shifa Medical Complex aboard vehicles operated by the International Committee of the Red Cross. Medical teams began forensic examinations immediately. Officials say documentation and identification are being carried out under approved procedures in coordination with specialized committees before families are allowed to claim the bodies. The development comes amid a phased ceasefire between Israel and Hamas that took effect in October. The United Nations estimates that rebuilding Gaza could cost approximately $70 billion. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed nearly 72,000 Palestinians and wounded more than 171,000 since October 2023. Israel has allowed a small number of humanitarian aid trucks into Gaza, but the United Nations says the flow remains far below urgent needs as severe Israeli restrictions continue. A limited convoy of aid trucks entered Gaza through the Kerem Abu Salam crossing under United Nations escort. The UN Relief and Works Agency, or UNRWA, says Israel has blocked most of its humanitarian supplies since March last year. Food, medicine, hygiene kits, and shelter materials remain stuck in warehouses in Egypt and Jordan. The agency says life-saving aid is ready, but Israel's permission is still needed to scale up deliveries. Approximately 2.4 million Palestinians live in Gaza, including about 1.5 million displaced people. Despite a ceasefire in effect since October 2025, the UN says Israel has not allowed in agreed levels of aid. Palestinian officials say daily Israeli strikes have continued, worsening an already severe humanitarian crisis. The United Nations is again calling for immediate and unrestricted humanitarian access across Gaza. Activists are marking the 29th anniversary of the Gulja Massacre, a deadly crackdown by the Chinese army on the Uyghur protesters in Chinese-occupied East Turkistan region. East Turkistan is referred to as Xinjiang by the Chinese government. Thousands of Uyghur Muslims have gathered peacefully on February 5, 1997, in the city of Gulja, also known as Yining. They were demanding the release of young men detained for praying during the Islamic month of Ramadan. Witnesses say the demonstrators were unarmed. Chinese security forces opened fire on the crowds. Rights groups say at least 100 people were killed. In the days that followed, authorities launched mass arrests. More than 200 people were reportedly sentenced to death, and around 4,000 were detained. Many are still missing. Justice for All, a U.S.-based human rights advocacy group, says survivors reported torture and harsh detention conditions. The group's Save Uyghur campaign is calling on governments and international institutions to seek accountability and remember the victims. 10 municipalities in the Netherlands have been fined $295,000 for secretly collecting data on Muslim residents without their knowledge. The Dutch Data Protection Authority said the towns violated privacy laws by commissioning research into local Muslim communities. The studies gathered sensitive details about mosques, community leaders, and social networks. Authorities say the municipalities had no legal basis to hold such information. Some of the reports were also shared with police, the National Counterterrorism Coordinator, and the Social Affairs Ministry. Privacy watchdog Chief Alid Wolfson said the actions seriously violated people's privacy and damaged public trust. The investigations were carried out after advice from the Counterterrorism Coordinator, which encouraged some towns to hire outside agencies. The fined municipalities include Delft, Eindhoven, Tilburg, Zoetermeer, and among others. Protesters in Bangladesh have staged a sit-in outside the residence of the country's chief advisor, Muhammad Yunus, in the capital, Dhaka. They are demanding a United Nations supervised investigation into the killing of activist Sharif Usman Hadi on December 12th. The protest is led by members of the student group Inqilab Mancha, which Hadi co-founded. Hadi's widow also joined the vigil. Leaders say they will not leave until the government agrees to a neutral probe under UN supervision. Hadi was shot on December 12th in central Dhaka. The attack came a day after the election schedule was announced. He was flown to Singapore for treatment. He died there on December 18th. Protesters say only an independent probe will ensure justice. Last December, Bangladeshi police alleged that Hadi's killers had fled to India. Indian police, however, have rejected the claims. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV.